We are coming on the air with breaking on the news as we speak. The jury reaching a verdict in the sex trafficking trial of R. Kelly, R&B megastar. You may remember that opening arguments started back on August 18th. We heard closing arguments happened at the end of last week. R. Kelly did not take the stand, did not take the witness stand on his own behalf. I want to get straight to NBC's Ron Allen, who is outside the courthouse in Brooklyn, where this has all been going down. So, Ron, just got this case, I believe, end of last week, right? Tell me where things stand now. When do we expect the verdict to actually be read? I know sometimes a judge will give, time for family members, et cetera, to get to the courthouse.
Exactly. We saw the defense team come in about 10 minutes ago, so unsure of exactly what the timing is in the courthouse. But the jury has been deliberating now for about 9 hours, 4 hours Friday, and then they continued this morning. And 7 men, 5 women. We don't know much more about the jury because this case has been happening essentially behind closed doors. We've been only able to see a video feed of the proceedings and hear the witnesses and hear the judge. But again, it's not been the kind of trial where you can actually sit in the courtroom. He faces 9 counts, including racketeering and sex trafficking charges that could land him in jail for more than 100 years if, in fact, he is convicted of all this. It's a fairly complicated case because there is that racketeering charge, which essentially says that R. Kelly was running a criminal enterprise, sort of like a mob boss, that was not just about his music and his brand, but was also about his own sexual gratification, about recruiting, finding, bringing to him young women, underage women, that prosecutors allege, and girls. And in one case, there was a male accuser as well. And this goes on beginning in the 1990s, the early 1990s, and continued right up until 2018, the last case. The basis of the case were 6 women who told absolutely horrific stories about being imprisoned, about being sexually humiliated, about being just abused in ways that are just really difficult to contemplate. Today, for example, we finally got a sense of the videotapes that R. Kelly had been taking. Part of what he's charged with is making all these pornographic movies, these sex tapes with various women. And today, the judge released audio of a couple of the tapes. We had not been able to see these tapes because the judge ruled that they were just too offensive and too graphic. And when you read the transcript and listen to them, it's easy to see why. It's just unbelievable stuff. Just incredible stuff that this man was putting these women through. And again, this was going on allegedly year after year after year all across the country. The classic situation was that he would go to a concert with his entourage, find young girls and women who he was interested in, give them a phone number, and then the relationship would begin and continue as the years went on, bringing them to his house, to his music studio, so on and so forth. Again, we don't know the exact timing of when we're going to hear from the jury. I would suspect it's going to be any minute now. And again, there's 1 count of racketeering, 8 counts of violating something called the Mann Act, which is sex trafficking, basically bringing women across state lines, transporting them, so on and so forth, for purposes of sex. And he faces, again, decades, more than 100 years in jail if he's convicted of all these things. And because the jury has only been deliberating for about 9 hours, one has to expect that there's going to be a guilty verdict here in some of this. The prosecution, in their closing summation, went through line by line, issue by issue, word by word, to make sure it was very plain to the jury many different ways that they could find him guilty and convict him. And again, the women, the witnesses told such horrifying and graphic stories that it's difficult to see how they don't believe it. It's just difficult to see how that might happen. Hallie?
And we should, I hear you. We should be clear, of course. We don't know what the verdict is. We have no, advanced knowledge of what that verdict is. Ron, did you say that the jury is in the courtroom right as we speak, right now?
That is unclear because the way things are configured, you can't take a phone into the courtroom where, as a reporter, you can watch the proceedings on the video monitor. So you have to see what's happening. Then that's on the 6th floor. Go down to the 3rd floor where you can make a phone call. So there's a bit of a delay in all this. Some of that is because of COVID restrictions. Some of it is because of security. But again, we will know as soon as there is a verdict. We will get word almost instantaneously, as quickly as we can.
And I just
Hallie.
wanted our viewers to know that, Ron, as we are here on the air, as this is all breaking as we speak, we have a producer, obviously, who's there, who is reporting back and feeding back everything that's happening inside that courtroom, Ron. You make some important points, including that R. Kelly faces potentially decades in prison. Ron, do I hear yelling outside? Are there protests? I just want to get a sense of what that noise is behind you.
Throughout the trial, there's been several dozen, perhaps, R. Kelly supporters. We've talked to some of them. Some are extended family, some are supporters, fans, and they've been here day in and day out playing very loud music. That's what you hear. Today they got a megaphone and they're voicing their support for R. Kelly. And that's what you hear down the way here. They believe that he is essentially being railroaded. The defense argument is that these women were in real relationships with R. Kelly, that the relationships went poorly, that they feel that things didn't go well for them, and that they're trying to make money off of R. Kelly now. You may remember the documentary Surviving R. Kelly.
Surviving R.
The
Kelly,
defense
right,
made a
2019.
point that now so many people are surviving off R. Kelly, was the way he turned that phrase. But basically, that was the defense over a period of a couple of days. They basically said all these women are lying. They're all trying to make money, and R. Kelly is the victim. That he treated these women like gold was the term that the defense attorney used. So again, we'll see. The way this case was structured, there's a broad range of ways that he could be convicted. Because, again, of this racketeering charge, this umbrella charge that involves crimes that were allegedly committed as far back as the early 90s to a couple of years ago. So we'll see how this all plays out. We should know very soon. Hallie.